Good afternoon, everybody. I wanted to talk to you today about how the narcissist becomes an empty shell. Nobody really talks about this, but I'm going to talk about it. So what happens is when they're in childhood, they are not getting validation, and let's say a little girl doesn't get validation from her father, right? So the only way they can get validation is everything that they would do, they would get shamed for. I'm talking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So then what they realized they could do is they realized they could put the mask on, which is if they mask up and just do what their father that they want validation and love from, if they would just do what he wants, and then that would be anything outside the shame, just follow his direction, then he can mold her into what he wants. But she will get love from that, or validation. It won't be love. It'll be kind of learning the hierarchy of power and control, just like he is. And it would be a transactional situation, and this is where this transactional stuff comes in. The father will then start to give the child, his daughter, maybe buy her things when she acts appropriately, the way he wants her to. But that's not the way she wants to. She wants to go outside and play in the dirt or, maybe color in a coloring book or something, but he has her doing something else, right? And a lot of times it depends on how they grow up, but in the situation of somebody that's at least middle class or upper middle class, they're going to focus more on being, having like etiquettes and focus on schoolwork and, making good grades and being a successful individual, which would be a golden child type daughter. And so as she puts on the mask to do that, she's going to be very studious, and so he's going to give her validation, and that's going to be the girl or the daughter that he lives through. So for instance, if she wants to go, after she graduates high school, if she wants to go to a college and play sports or play an instrument, well, he's going to want her to become a physician. He's going to want her to become the CEO of a company, so a business major or something. So this is how this stuff works. Basically what happens is how they become a shell of themselves is they've been under the power and control of their hierarchy narcissist parent, say her father, for so long that they never did go inside and develop themselves. So they don't know what they like and what they don't like, because they've just been liking and not liking what they were told to do. And so that's what they were willing to do for that validation from their father. And what it leads to is, as much as they hyper focus and fixate on their father, who is emotionally checked out, then they become to pick up this construct as well. So they start working in this construct, and so they just kind of get into the power and control, and they kind of feel like if they were to be vulnerability and to love, they detach emotionally, basically. And that's why a traumatic patient or a traumatic child can do the same thing, because trauma can cause somebody to detach emotionally, and then they have this lack of empathy going on. So trauma can lead to narcissism and the golden child, and that's kind of why, is because they kind of detach. They detach from their emotional field, and that's because in the golden child there's nothing in here, and for the trauma child, they just dealt with too much of traumatic emotions that they detached. So whenever they go through another type of trauma, or even mini traumas, like the CPTSD type stuff, then they're just gonna check out, and they're gonna be like lack of empathy. And that's kind of like where narcissism kind of stems from there. And then they go on to with the entitlement, and that they're one of a kind. And then what happens is, when you grow up in these families, they don't ever discuss or go through, their parents never kind of help them to hash out their emotions. So they're dealing with all these emotions coming up. And the narcissist father would tell his daughter, shame her, until she became to where on the outside didn't really show emotions. And so that's where the covert narcissist comes from. Usually more of the trauma patient or trauma child, without, the parents really caring too much about the child, even to be a golden child. Just a bunch of trauma from the parents would cause the borderline. But, it causes this similar thing in a golden child, except the father would continue to shame the child until the child becomes a covert narcissist, which shows that they're not losing any power and control, because nobody would be able to view it, because it's their poker face. Okay, and so if they wear the poker face, then they look like they're always in control when they're not. And that's why a lot of us feel like when we're seeing our narcissists, that they look like there's nothing wrong with them. They're not getting their karma, or they're reaping what they're sowing. They're not in pain. They're not depressed. They're not this. They're not that. That's because they just don't show it. That's how they were brought up. So they checked out of their emotional field and their emotions. They've, don't know themselves or have any authenticity. And everybody in the family, in the narcissistic family, is checked out. And so you're kind of on your own. It's like you're compartmentalized to yourself, and you may be the normal one, like the black sheep or the scapegoat, but you have nobody to discuss your emotions, your thoughts, or anything with, because the rest of them are either, an enabler, that's a shell of a person, or a narcissist or narcissistic in the family. And so very rarely are you going to get too much from them, because they've already caught the bug. And so that's how it works. And that's why the narcissist is always running around looking for like validation out here, because there's nothing in here, because whatever was in there, they basically continue to every day shut it down so that they could obey their father that they wanted to please, or whoever. And because of that, they lost their own authenticity. They don't even know what they wanted, what they would like to do, or how they feel. They're just kind of walking around like a zombie, because nobody would help them think through their emotions. Even the empaths in these families, a lot of times you can get the narcissist with rage, because nobody helped them deal with their emotions, on how to understand, what they're feeling, or why they're feeling this way. Sorry, I'm dry, y'all. I need some water. But nobody helped them, understand or work through their emotions. Now, then again, I'm not like giving them any kind of like way out or anything. I'm just saying this is how, it would have helped if they could have had somebody walk them through their different emotions that they were feeling. Although some of the narcissists, they seem to just be born evil. So there's that too. And then I question people that have been adopted. I've noticed that, and even in my family, it seems like people that have been adopted, like children that have been adopted, can often show narcissism. And so That's interesting in itself too. But in fact, on the comments, I want you all to put if you dealt with either a parent that was a narcissist that was adopted, or a love partner. I'm just kind of curious. I'm trying to gather information, man. And it's not to be an ass. It's to actually, I'm trying to find ways to help these people. You know, so I'm reading a deliverance book now that this particular person suggests that he's helped these people. So I will keep y'all updated. But anyway, have a good day. Peace. We out.